Attendance. We're voting whether we're here.
Yes, no, or abstain. Okay. Dove Jacob.
Present.
Ari Weiss. Chief Denora Claudio. Chief James Booth. Chief Christine Mazzola. Bradley Kaufman. Allison Burke. Dominic Battinelli.
Present.
William Goffin.
Present.
Joseph Marcelino. Daniel Mizell.
Present.
Mordecai Goldfeder. Robert Bristol.
Present.
Daniel Rodriguez. Detective John Johnstone.
Present.
Martin Grillo.
Present.
James Downey.
Present.
Jerry Gelbard.
Present.
Joseph Schenker.
Aye.
David Benelli. Scott Orlansky.
I'm going to abstain. Present.
Okay. Morty Lax. Getting upset already, Morty?
Morty, you gotta answer for the record.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm lamenting my seat choice.
Martina Barcarella.
Here.
Did I pronounce it correctly?
Welcome.
Welcome. First meeting. Vincent Barranco.
Present.
Scott Chiang.
Here.
Arthur Cooper. Robert Krupe.
Here.
Megan Farley.
Here.
And welcome to you too, Megan, your first meeting. Manfred Fuchs.
Here.
Hi. Sean Graves.
Here.
Jerry Gumbo.
Yep.
Izidja Langston.
Present.
Brian Levinsky.
Here.
Dennis Laurie. He has to be excused tonight. And Mitch Powell also has to be excused tonight.
We have a quorum.
Yeah. Yes.
We have a quorum. Good. First of all, at future meetings, I would like if all members of REMSCO would sit at the tables, if they can. I guess that's the definition of sitting at the table. Okay. Would like to introduce,
Okay, we wanted to introduce our new senior state rep,
that's you.
Bernice. I'm sorry, I don't have your card in front of me, so I can't remember your last name. Bienemy?
Yes.
Some of you have already met Bernice as part of your work duties. So you want to welcome her to New York City.
Okay. Thank you. Also, before some of you decide to leave, before the meeting is over, I just want to tell everyone that sometime in March, on a Tuesday, we're going to throw a really exciting party for Nancy. And even if we don't do any official business that day, I'd like to make sure that all of you please make every attempt to come. Details and invitations will follow. Thank you. Okay, before we begin the meeting, I just want to make sure that we all understand the rules under which we operate so that REMSCO, of course, operates very well, but some other committees may have had previous issues. So we operate under Robert's Rule of Order, which can get to be quite complex. In fact, it's a book this thick. If anyone is really insane enough to want to read it from cover to cover, if you were the type of child who read encyclopedias as a dictionary, you too will enjoy Robert's Rules of Order. But for those who are interested, we do have a...
Is that what you did? You read encyclopedias?
Yeah. Yes, he did. That's what I did for a while. Very antisocial. I read dictionaries and encyclopedias sitting in a corner. Yeah. Anyway, for those who are interested in how it works, we do have a 2-page summary, okay, which Marie can make available. We have some copies
We have some
here.
copies.
We can make more copies for you, just to give you a flavor of how it works. And if you have any questions, you can speak to me. There are people who get paid to be the parliamentarian. Hint.
Not
but
going to happen, sorry.
so it's, and we should know, Now, there is one exception, and that is although we follow Robert's Rules of Order, we do that except when it conflicts with the New York State open meeting law and the general construction law of New York State. Now, for those of you who are not lawyers, I'll tell you what the two things are in those laws. One of them is that in the open meeting law, there's no such thing as a secret ballot. Okay, every ballot has to be identified, which is why we must have a roll call vote on every final action item that applies to the problem. So we don't do it when we adjourn, we don't need such a vote. But when there's any decision that's made that affects the public, okay, the law requires that A, it be filmed, and B, that it be webcast, and C, that there's no such thing as a secret ballot. The general construction law says that you cannot pass any final action with what's called a simple majority. A simple majority is just a majority of the people who are present. Rather, a quorum is defined, and I'll read you the language. It's based on the number of voting seats, whether they are filled or not. So, in our case, REMSCO has 26 voting seats. So to have a quorum, you must have 14, okay? To pass an item, it's not simply a majority of who's present, but it's got to be at least 14, which means that if you have barely a quorum attending, which is 14 people, you can't really do any business unless everybody agrees on something, which is why it's important that everybody show up to a meeting. So we would like to have more than a quorum come so that it's possible to have a discussion, and as usual, people may disagree and vote against, but you do need 14 people to vote. And this is a tough standard, and it is what it is, it's the law, and we have to follow it. So if we ever have a vote and we don't get 14 people, even if a majority of people say it's okay, it does not pass, okay? So again, hopefully we will not have to resort directly to these rules, but when it comes up, and if you're interested, please feel free to come up, and anyone who wants to have a lecture, an assignment, talk about it. I can explain to you how it works, to your heart's content. Okay, the first thing on the agenda is the correspondence report. Are you going to make the correspondence report?
Yeah, I'll do it real quick. It's not that much.
Okay.
Unless you want to do it.
I really don't.
Okay. Okay, for membership, Patrick Myers has left Greater New York for, I guess, better pastures, so wish him luck. We're waiting for Greater New York to appoint someone else to be alternate for Allison. Jerry Gelbart was appointed to the, are you in the alternate position or the primary position?
Primary, yeah.
You're in the primary. For District 18, replacing Lewis Deutsch. And Denora Claudio is replacing Christopher Bills for FDNY EMS. We do need to have a vote to place, to appropriately place these two nominees.
Okay, so this does not require a roll call vote. Okay, all in favor of approving these candidates who were designated by their agencies, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any objections? Any abstentions? Hearing none, please mark it as being unanimous. Go ahead. And welcome, if you're sitting here, you're welcome to the committee.
And I don't see that Chief Claudio is not here. I think that she had an injury,
Did have an injury, yes.
so maybe she'll make it home.
Hopefully temporary.
Wish them all the best.
No, we did not approve the minutes yet. That's okay, let me just, we didn't do.
Okay, it's true.
Let me finish this,
Go ahead.
or you wanna go to the,
I thought I did. Didn't I? I'm losing it. Time for another cup.
another cup of coffee? Okay, we received PCR monthly inventory control report, sent to Peter Brody from Fire Department. We did receive a public notice from the Department of Health, citywide mobile response, received a $7,000 civil penalty for violations of Part 822H and not looked them up yet, but I will, and I'll give a summary in the minutes. Vital Signs is going to be held next September or October? Thank you. And they're calling for presenters. So if there's anyone here that wants, if you have something that you think is pertinent to EMS, put together an abstract and send it up to Albany. I will be emailing out the link so that you can do that. It's something that might be a nice, something good for the region. So if anybody's interested, call me up. Maybe we could put our heads together and get a presentation up there in New York City. Okay. And really, that's pretty much it. We sent out agendas and minutes associated with this meeting. We also sent copies of the budget template to members here. It needs to be approved. We did send it up as a draft to the Department of Health because we had a timeline that had to be met.
Do that under unfinished business.
Yeah. And that's all we have.
Are there any questions on the correspondence report? Hearing none, I apologize, we'll go back to approval of the November 27, 2018 minutes. Are there any comments, corrections, discussions?
Potentially one, probably just a typo, potentially, this in the Instacare, doing business in Midwood, certificate expires 10/31, I believe it's 20, it says I have 2202,
Okay.
I believe it's just.
You know what page it's on?
Probably good. 4. I took out my fine tooth comb that I
No,
usually don't use.
That's what we look I actually appreciate it when you find errors and let us know so we can fix it.
It actually, she appreciates it because it means that somebody is actually reading these things.
Well, that too.
And it makes her feel good.
Not much makes you feel good anymore, but that's okay. Let's see.
Yeah, I'll page 4. Yeah, well, maybe 3. 3, try 3.
Okay, why don't,
I agree.
instead of, now, why don't you, after the meeting, just point it out that she'll fix it.
Definitely.
Are there any other corrections? Hearing none, a motion to accept is in order. Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? They are approved with the change or the typo. Okay. We now move to the staff report, emergency preparedness. Joe.
Okay, so we gave a report at the ambulance committee. I'll summarize here. We continue our preparations for the 2019 surge exercise with the New York City Department of Health. That exercise will simulate a no-notice regional evacuation. Primarily, our private ambulance services will be playing in that drill. We have a webinar scheduled with them later this week to go over the exercise, how they'll be playing, and what data points we'll be collecting for the drill. We continue to work on territory mapping with New York City Emergency Management. Any volunteer services that would like to get their territories mapped, all you need to do is print out a legible Google-style map of your area, draw the boundaries, and send them in to me. I will forward those over to Robert Bristol from Emergency Management. He'll enter it into GIS, and then we'll send you a copy of it so you can confirm that we have outlined those borders correctly. If any discrepancies come up, we'll review those at the committee level.
Just
in the
if
ambulance
I may,
committee.
I don't know if it's part of the rules or not, but if I may, I spoke with Mr. Bristol during the break, and I think we're going to make this part of the mutual aid requirements that all of the agencies send us a copy of their map so that we can see the adjoining territories, and obviously we'll submit that to you, and you can submit it to OEM as part of the mapping cartography plan.
I think that's a fantastic plan.
Thank you.
Seems good they made you chair.
Yeah,
I am on board.
good to have you back, Scott. We continue to participate in the regional response for the opioid epidemic, continuing in our monthly reports to the Department of Health. We continue to distribute naloxone. If any agency needs naloxone for their ambulances, just contact our office and we will distribute it for you. In addition, we also are participating in the New York City Department of Health Leave Behind Kit Program. Is a program where after responding to an overdose patient, you can offer that patient to give that patient a kit with naloxone in it, or offer it to their family or anybody that wants to have it, frankly. There is a QA component for that, so agencies that are interested, please contact our office and we'll get those to you as well. A lot of movement on EPCRs. The state is still transitioning to NEMSIS 3.4. Reach out to your vendors if you have not already transitioned to NEMSIS 3 data, because you need to be doing so expeditiously. We have changed over our regional EPCR system from Zoll to ImageTrend. We have 10 agencies that we are onboarding, and will be going live this week. We received a number of, that system will be free for all the volunteer services. Anybody that wishes to participate in that, will be opening up another round of enrollment in March. And we will work with you to get you on the system, get your members trained, and do the administration training. We received applications to upgrade from NEMSIS 2 data to NEMSIS 3 data from Midwood Ambulance and Oxygen, who's also changing their vendor from Zoll to TraumaSoft. Lifeline Ambulance, also changing their vendor from Zoll to TraumaSoft. Columbia EMS and Forest Hills VAC. We have the agencies on our regional system changing their vendors from Zoll to ImageTrend, which is Broad Channel Fire Department, Carrollton Beach Fire Department, Queens Village Hollis VAC, Fordham University EMS, Flatlands VAC, Little Neck VAC. And we have 4 new agencies coming on, Bay Community, College Point, Lindenwood, and West Hamilton Beach Fire Department. The applications have all been reviewed and deemed complete. Those applications do need to be approved here at this committee.
All right, to approve them? You know what they are? Want to list the ones again that the
Sure.
director approved?
So we have Midwood Ambulance and Oxygen, who is upgrading from NEMSIS 2 to NEMSIS 3 and changing their vendor from Zoll to TraumaSoft. Lifeline Ambulance, changing their vendor from Zoll to TraumaSoft as well, as upgrading from NEMSIS 2 to NEMSIS 3. Columbia University EMS, Forest Hills VAC, they're both upgrading from 2 to 3. Then we have our agencies on our regional system, which is changing over from Zoll to ImageTrend. They technically had to put in an application for us to approve that. And then the 4 new agencies coming on, Bay Community, College Point, Lindenwood, and West Hamilton Beach Fire.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye. Is there anyone opposed? Are there any abstentions? Please mark it unanimous. Now, you may be wondering why we're not having a roll call vote on this. The answer is that since everybody voted for it, we meet the open meeting law because everybody voted yes. If one person would have voted no, we would have had to have a roll call vote. Okay, what else?
Scott.
Is that it?
That completes the report.
Are there any questions for Joe? Hearing none, we'll move to the program agency update. Marie?
Program agency met on January 14th in Albany, and it was a long meeting. For those of you that, just to give you a refresher, program agencies, there are 17 or 18 of us in the state. And we're part of Article 30. We contract with the state to provide staff for the regional council, the REMSCO. Everything that you see going on here, a large part of it is paid for through grant funding. Part of what we've talked about were the collaborative protocols. Most of the rest of the state, except for three regions, Nassau, Suffolk, and New York City, they use collaborative protocols. So we spent a lot of time talking about collaborative protocols, and they're trying to recreate the process that we have here, which takes from year to year how to go over protocols, how to submit them. So that was part of the discussion. We're actually talking about these collaborative protocols in our own protocol committee. And though I don't think we're all that interested in actually becoming a member of the collaborative group, because that makes us responsible to the other 15 regions in the state whenever we want to make a change. So, we're not all that interested in that. BLS protocols, we talked about that too. It didn't happen at the program agency meeting, but they were approved at CMAC 2 days later. These are going to be mandated BLS protocols for the state of New York, and it includes us. What I understand, the state protocols are really not that different from ours, so we're not gonna have any issues with that. There may be a rollout in April or May. Okay. We have, the program agency contracts are up, they're 5-year contracts, so they're being, renegotiated. Hopefully our deliverables, which identify all the tasks that we have to do for the Department of Health to get paid, they're going to be reconsidered. There is new leadership also in Albany, so there may be some changes. I don't personally think that we're gonna have really big changes because EMS has not changed all that much. They are also pushing the PECC, Pediatric Emergency Care Coordinator, which I spoke about at ambulance, and we'll speak a little bit more about at the end of the meeting. Let's see what else. There's going to be a lot of information from Dr. Krupi, so I don't want to step on what he's going to be talking about. The one thing that may be of interest to agency reps here, if you have CME-based refresher programs, Jean Meyer is the new person on the state who is going to be dealing with CME-based refreshers, and he said that we're going to be making some changes, some major changes in how the CME refresher program runs. So as soon as we get the information, we will share it with you. And they want program agencies involved in this, so that's a change. In the past, we were not involved in CME-based refreshers. So now I have to figure out what that is too, 'cause it's so okay, new staff. Steven Zura? How do you pronounce his name? Zura. He is the new deputy director, and he comes from NYC. So he's,
Central Oneida County Volunteer
Yes.
Ambulance.
okay, but he was an officer with the, he's the new deputy director, working with Brian Greenberg. Lynn Perugia is our new finance person, and that's who we actually report to. Well, not report to, but we send the budget template, which you will be looking at.
Let's do it now.
Okay. And that's it. The rest of the information will be coming from Dr. Krupi.
So-
So I also attended CMAC, that was my first time there, it was really interesting. At the legislative committee, they talked
Why
about,
don't we wait till the SEMSCO report, the state report, which comes in number 8. But I do want to do now to get the approval for the budget template. Why don't you tell us what the budget template is? You all got copies of it, what its purpose is.
The budget template is supposed to help the finance committee come up with a budget for EMS for the state that is given to New York State Department of Health, and then it's supposed to go to the governor's office to be considered for the governor's budget. So Nancy, you can correct me if I'm wrong with this. We unfortunately have already passed the deadline for this year's budget, so.
No, basically, what happens is this budget template is used for the next year's
For next
budget. So
year's.
this way, we are part of the loop. That got changed about 4 years ago. Because we were submitting the budget, we, not New York City, we statewide, program agency, regional councils, were submitting the budget by the due date in September, and it missed all of the proceedings with the budget people. So we rearranged it, so now we're doing budgets for next year. That's what this is. This is.
2019, 2020.
That's correct.
Thank you. But basically, it's the same thing that we send in every year. We are identifying that we are a program agency. There are 2 in New York City, us and the fire departments. And we tell them what our counties are and how many millions of people we have in New York City. we give them, we use the state numbers of CFRs, EMTs, medics, everyone that's actually been certified, in this case in 2017, and do a projection for who we think we're going to certify in 2019, 2020. The way we come up with that projection is, since there's about a 10% attrition rate, we increase by 10% to try and cover our losses. We've been doing it this way for years. If someone else here has better information on how we should project, let me know. But so far, this has worked for us, and the numbers are pretty much on target. And we use those numbers based on the current DOH reimbursement rates to give an approximate of the amount of EMS funding that we'll need for New York City for training.
Okay. You've all gotten copies of this. You've all, I'm sure, studied the numbers very carefully. Are there any comments?
Okay, 2011, the template that we got was 18 pages long.
Very different.
3 years ago, it was 5 pages long, okay? And we're down to 1 page,
It's
or it's 3
wonderful.
pages.
It's not us, it's the State Department, it's the Finance Committee has changed what they want. Before, we would send them a really detailed plan that covered everything, and we had to give a lot of justification, and we'd be up nights with our calculators trying to figure out what was right. And from what I understand, it was sometimes too much information.
Okay.
And this is easier for them.
All right, on the list of courses that are planned to be given April 2019 to March 2020, you have 3, or number of students, 3 EMTCC original, and 1 EMTCC refresher.
Those numbers are not from me, they're from the New York State Department of Health, because LaGuardia Community College, I'm pretty sure it's coming from their program. They run their paramedic program, and they allow people.
But you can't give a CC original course anymore.
You can do refreshers.
Oh, so you're saying I should not even have, you're right, that should be gone.
Because they've changed.
That's right, 'cause they've stopped.
To set up the bridge.
Okay, I will take that out, thank you.
And you're also showing really a 10% increase in expected funds, but the state has no plans to raise their reimbursement rate.
There's a wish list. They
No.
never give us what we
It's
want.
not a
Okay.
10% increase in the funds, it's a 10% increase in the number of people we think will be certified.
You never get what
using
you're
this.
asked for.
All right, but the CC original
Yeah.
and refresher should
Should
be
take
out.
that
Yeah,
out.
thank you.
Refresher,
Okay.
things can stay, can't they?
I don't think so, I don't even think we're doing refreshers now, we're
There was a
doing.
cutoff date for refresher as well.
Hmm?
There was a cutoff date for refreshers
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, but it hasn't hit yet.
Still
Yeah, it
ongoing.
hasn't hit. The freshers are still in the other counties. I think
Suffolk
through
has one coming up.
Yeah, through 2020, I think
So
refreshers
I think you should
are
leave the
allowable.
refresher in and cut out the,
But the basic is gone.
okay. Any further
See,
discussion?
somebody reads this.
Well, the
She's
finance
really
committee-
happy now.
The finance committee will read it too. Yeah, it
Okay.
makes me glad you looked at it, thank you.
I asked what it was for. She gave me an explanation. You said it, I shouldn't even have asked it. It doesn't belong to this, that's good. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Please mark it as unanimous. Okay, I'll give the ambulance committee report. There were no action items. We revitalized the tag, the mutual aid tag. Scott has graciously volunteered to take that in hand because the state wants us to review all mutual aid plans and we'll also do the mapping. So please give him whatever cooperation he needs. The other tag we revitalized is the ambulance sticker tag to make sure that all ambulances in New York City and supervisors have the sticker that lets them get onto the scene in case of a disaster. And we're gonna make sure that everybody knows that you should have that sticker. What you can do is you can go back to your agencies and look at an ambulance. And if it doesn't have that little black sticker, okay, let Marie know and a sticker will be issued for the ambulance. If your supervisors don't have those little stickers, they won't get granted access to the scene of emergency, and then they have to apply to this tag. So let's do some of our own, looking at our own ambulances. I'm sure you've all bought new ambulances. Okay, they don't have the stickers on them for sure. And let's identify them and get the whole fleet with the stickers. There was a very brief discussion, I know this is on tape, of our wonderful mayor, and what he thinks of EMS. And the ambulance committee recommended to REMSCO that REMSCO come up with a statement to be sent to our mayor and the city council describing some of the things that EMS provides New York City with. So I'd like to have your endorsement that such a statement should be put together. I'm not exactly sure who's going to write it. But
We can help.
I would definitely like your endorsement as a group that such a statement should be written, as you, I'm sure, understand that there's a tremendous amount of anger out there by our providers. In the last few days, there's been nothing on Facebook but remarks about this. And it's appropriate that we come up with a calm statement, which is why I'm not writing it, okay? Because they told me that I can't say nasty things about anybody, so I'll be nice. And, but I think that everyone, we should endorse that.
Does that require a motion or just?
It should have a motion.
Motion.
Okay, is there a second to the motion? Is there any discussion on the motion? Yes.
Being an older sort of person who chooses not to engage in social media for a variety of reasons, I'm not
Very
so
wise.
of this Facebook traffic, and for some crazy reason, missed the mayor's statement. Can you very briefly paraphrase it
He
factually?
basically implied that EMS personnel, okay, are nowhere near doing the job that either fire department, sanitation, or police are doing. And it was clear that he has no understanding of what it is that EMS does day in, day out. He has no understanding of the difficulty that our providers have in doing the service, and he therefore feels that the amount of pay, which I think is embarrassing, that an EMT it gets paid half, roughly, of what sanitation department gets paid. And I understand sanitation is extremely important. We can't live in New York City without them, but we can't live, period, without EMS. Forget about clean. We can't live without EMS. So naturally, our providers take great offense at such a statement made by the mayor, and describe him in whatever non-complimentary term.
Colorful terminology.
Colorful terminology. There's a lot of it on Facebook, okay? And in any event, we should be coming up with a statement, not attacking anyone, but we need to
It's a support network.
support our providers. And it should be read into the city council minutes, and the mayor should receive a letter from us with that statement. I'm sure he won't read it, but we should send it anyway. Okay? So, yes,
Just a comment. I think that there's two sides to the argument as also. If we do write a letter, my suggestion to the council, whoever's wordsmithing this letter, should be not a element of envy toward other professions. I think that a lot of that is coming out of the woodwork as a knee-jerk reaction. Fire department, firefighters, police officers, sanitation do very vital services in this city. I think that any wording should reflect what we do and not into comparison to what others do.
absolutely.
So I think that a lot of providers on Facebook and social media have sort of called to, why do they get paid what we don't, and that's not the right approach.
It's true, and we should certainly be writing a letter exactly as you say, but it's natural to understand why the EMS providers who provide this extremely vital service to see feel unappreciated.
I think to answer your question
And-
from earlier, that who should pen this letter, I think Sean should pen the letter and then send it to the council for review. He did I think he's on
I think that's
on
fair
point.
enough.
That's just
Email
my
it. But I don't
suggestion.
think we should wait
No.
long to do it. I think she should send out the email, the draft, give it 1 week. If you don't comment, it should be sent out. We don't need to bring this to another vote.
No.
We don't need to push this off for 2 meetings, and then nothing gets done, but then everyone's forgotten about it, and they know that we really don't care. Yes?
So, I, cannot agree more with the sentiments, of the EMS community. And that may even be more evident on my own Facebook profile picture right now.
I've read it.
That said,
I think you should write the
I
letter.
think, yes, very explicitly. That said, I think this council needs to tread very lightly here. While the sentiments about the EMS community and the work that we do, and the job in the field is all true, and nobody argues that, we have to understand, that comments notwithstanding, the discussion is occurring in the broader context of city labor relations and unions that represent the folks who provide municipal 911 service, EMTs and paramedics there. One can argue that hospital-based services and some commercial services pay better, so on and so forth. I would just caution the council that proceeding with this may end up injecting this council and this body unnecessarily into a greater argument where we truly don't belong.
Understood. I think it's gotta be crafted carefully, but I think we would be remiss if we did not support our providers. In other words, we tell them, just describe what it is that we do every single day, and it's something we should be doing anyway for the public, okay? And,
I would argue that there's probably better ways to do that than writing a letter.
to the city council, probably not. I think the city council is a good place to do it. Anyway, that's what I feel. I think that, most of the providers in the city need to have at least someone counter the statement that the